All right, hi everybody. Today we're going to take a look at a math app on here. It's not really necessarily designed as an assistive technology app, but it certainly has implications for students that might struggle with writing and when it comes to doing algebra. It gives them an opportunity to kind of explore algebra and learn it through the iPad. And the app we're going to look at is a tool called Algebra Touch. It's right there. We'll open it up so you can see kind of what the main screen on Algebra Touch looks like. Again, basically what this is going to do is it allows us to practice the concepts within algebra to using touch, using different gestures on the iPad. It's a tool to practice the concepts of algebra more so than doing problems, although we can add our own problems to it and do that. This app sells for $1.99, so it's a pretty inexpensive app, and it combines lessons with practice options as well. So you can see right on the main screen here we have just the problem, or the expression 9 plus 5 plus 15. This is part of, if you look up in the top left, it says addition. This is showing us how addition works, basically. If we tap on where it says addition, we're going to see a whole list of different types of lessons that we can do. So we can do addition, terms, negatives, multiplication, order of operations, pairs, replacement, prime numbers, and then several other things down there as well. If you look next to that, what we have are two buttons. We have explain and we have practice. So if you hit explain, it's going to show you how you would work this. So down at the bottom it says tap the plus to add 3 and 5. So if I go then and use my finger, or in my case my stylus here, and tap the plus, it adds those two numbers together, and it should show us 8 on the screen. And in fact, it's just taking a second to catch up here. It has caught up on my screen, but it'll convert those two to 8. And then it says underneath that, very good, adding is a form of simplifying, that is making the expression more simple and less complicated. So that's explaining. It shows us how to do that. If we go and tap practice then up at the top again, it's going to give us a practice problem. Now we don't get the explanation with that if we hit the plus signs, but if we hit the plus signs, it will convert 9 plus 5 to 14. Now if we hit the plus sign in the middle of that, it'll combine those to give us 29, and it gives us some indication that this is the end by asking if we want another problem or not. Over on the top right, if we hit undo, it'll take us back a step. If we hit restart, it takes us back to the beginning. I'm going to hit just the plus again and show if we want to do another, we tap another, and it'll give us another problem. So if we look at some other things here, let's look at multiplication. I tap the addition button up there. We'll get a lesson in multiplication. So here it shows us 7 times 8x times 7. This, if we do the explanation piece again, it's going to show us the same thing. Multiplication is another kind of simplifying. Tap the multiplication sign to simplify, and it should simplify that for us. If we hit practice, we then practice doing that and getting our answer just by tapping on the multiplication signs. If we go into order of operations, with this one, we have to follow the order of operations to get this to work. So in this case, we can tap on the multiplication sign and then do the addition. If we go back and undo this, this is where Algebra Touch is a little bit different. If we tried to add 2y and minus 15y, it just won't let us do it. So basically when we're doing problems in here, it doesn't let us make mistakes. It doesn't necessarily tell us how to do things properly. We kind of have to figure that out on our own and get to the end result, but it doesn't let us make the mistakes that somebody might potentially make sitting there and writing things on paper and pencil. So in that case, it's not a true test of can you fill out the problem on here, but it does give us the opportunity to kind of learn how you would go about doing some of these algebraic expressions. So that was order of operations. Let me just show you substitution here. So with substitution, we can start adding things together. That'll give us the adding piece. Cross out, I wanted to show you cross out. What this lets us do is when we get into dividing things and we have like terms here, what we can do is we can take our finger or take our stylus and draw a line through the like terms across the division piece here. and it will actually wipe those out for us. So you can see that line come across the 9 x's there, and it gave us the answer. If we go all the way down to the bottom, let me just show you. We'll walk you through a basic equation, and we'll do a distribution and a factoring out here. So here's a basic equation now. So we looked at how you kind of combine some terms and whatnot before. So with a basic equation like this, if we wanted to find what y was, we have y plus 10 equals 13. Well, if you know algebra, you know that you have to subtract 10 from both sides. In this type of app, all you would do is grab the 10 next to the y, and you would take it to the opposite side. And then you would hit the plus key between the two. I'll do that and show you. So now we see y equals 3. If we restart this problem, now look, if we wanted to bring the 13 over here, it'll let us do that. But if we then combine those two, it's not going to end the problem. We'd have to then take that minus 3, move it to the other side. And you can kind of see when we get to the end of a problem, we're going to see the bottom of this screen here turn a little bit green, and we'll get the question for do we want another within our practice. So that was in basic equations. In distribution, if you have something like this where you need to multiply a number across an expression, across parentheses, the way that you would do that is you would tap the multiplication symbol, and then you're going to get this little slider bar across the bottom here. When we take that slider bar, then it's going to distribute that 6 across the parentheses. You'll remove the parentheses, and then you'll get 6 times 4z and 6 times 14. You have to tap those multiplication buttons in the middle of those, and it will combine those for you. So that's kind of how you would manipulate multiplication. In factoring out, so if we look at a problem for factoring out here, we can take this now, and we would have to say, well, let's see, can we draw a line through the 19 x's? It won't let us do that. Let's multiply the 9 and 19 and x and 14, 19x and 13. We'll multiply the 19x and 12 as well. Now for factoring out, if we haven't gotten to the end of this yet, we can take and we can tap on a number here. So we'll tap on 266, and that's going to expand that out. We tap on 266 again, it should show us everything that multiplies together to get to 266. So we see 2 times 133, 7 times 38. If we slide across, we get 14 times 19 as well. So let's just take the 2 times 133 and choose that. So then that converts what we've got there to 2 times 133. If we go down here now to our or I guess what we should have done before we did any of this was add these together. So we'll go back and add those together. Now we want to be factoring. So to factor again, we'll tap the 608. We'll tap the 608 again. It shows us everything that adds up to 608. We can slide across and see everything that's involved there. We can choose, let's just choose 4 times 152. Now we'll go to 475, factor that out. I see 5 times 95, 19 times 25. We can go to 19 times 25. Maybe we can go in here and find there's an 8 times 19. So if we choose that, now we can draw a line through the 19s, and those factor out. Here we have 5 times 5. Here we have 2 times 4. We are at the point now where if we combine these, I believe we should get our answer, 25 and 32. There we go. So that's how we would factor things out of this. With advanced stuff, we can combine all of these things now. So if we wanted to do this problem, we can multiply 8 across all of this, multiply our 8s, add what we need to together. So move our 8 over there by the 112, subtract it from the 109 or from the 9. Then we can tap to separate the 136 and the y, and slide the 136 to the other side, and that gives us our answer. So that's how we basically run through these. We can hit random and get random problems, or if we go over and hit my problems, we can create a problem set. You hit create a problem set, it's going to give you it's going to give you the option to create something here, to name it if we want to. We'll just leave it at problem list. And then we'll tap create problem. And now it gives us some tools to create a problem here. So we could say maybe 2 plus 8 parentheses x minus 3 parentheses equals 15. So there's a problem equals 15, and we can hit save. So we've created a problem here. Now if we go and hit start set, we can find the answer to this problem. So we can multiply 8 across here, and then we can tap the multiplication symbols to combine those terms. We can slide our 2 over by the 24, combine those, take our 22 now and slide it to the other side of the equal sign, combine that with 15, tap on 8x to separate it, and divide, move 8 to the other side to get our answer. So in that respect, with that, now if we go back to hit back to lessons, we can get back to the lessons. If we go back to my problems and you go to problems list, we can add more things to this. So teachers could add a whole bunch of problems for the student to practice. Again, the downside to this is it's not going to let you make mistakes. So it's not a good way necessarily to make a student do homework. It's more of a good learning tool to help them understand the concepts of algebra. But it is a fairly inexpensive tool at $1.99, and something that if you have a student that struggles with, in general, with the concepts of algebra and likes using an iPad, or that struggles with writing and is able to use some type of device to manipulate things on the screen of the iPad, this could work for them as well. So that's really all I have on Algebra Touch. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to email me at james-stachowiak@uiowa.edu.